Hello again. I spoke this morning about the fact that when thinking about visible minorities, it is those of African ancestry who always seem to be first, second and third in line. Something very similar, of course, applies when we are talking about religions. One religion in particular is always the first to be considered and given special preference, and it's not Sikhism or Christianity either. During the Great War, over 1 million Indians served in the British Armed Forces, and many of them fought in France. An awful lot of them were Sikhs, as we know from photographs taken at the time. The thumbnail to this video shows some Sikh soldiers during the First World War. Others were Hindus, some were Muslims. The Hindus and Sikhs were traditionally very highly regarded by the British as fighting men, the Muslims not quite so much. This is reflected in popular culture, of course, such as Rudyard Kipling's poetry. It will perhaps surprise nobody to hear that I know a lot of Kipling by heart, and here are the opening lines of a poem which references the Hindu connection with the British Indian Army. You may talk of gin or beer when you're quartered safe out here and sent to penny fight or all to shot it. But when the game is slaughter, you will do your work on water, and you'll lick the blooming boots of him who's got it. Now in India's sunny clime, where I used to spend my time a serving of Her Majesty the Queen, of all that black-faced crew, the finest man I knew was our regimental bistie, Gunga Din. Gunga Din is, of course, a Hindu, as you can tell from his name. I mention this because I note with disgust that our taxes are to be used to the tune of £1 million to fund a war memorial exclusively for Muslim soldiers who died in the First World War and the Second. Why just Muslim, you ask? Do you think that Hindus and Sikhs might be a little peeved about this, to say nothing of the Gurkhas? Why do you suppose this has been done, singling out just one religion and ignoring the contribution made by others? It's very simple. Just at the moment there is friction between Muslims and the main political parties in this country, both the Conservatives and the Labour Party. That's what the election in Rochdale was all about. It is felt by the government that this might be a really good time to suck up to the Muslims by bunging them £1 million of our money for a war memorial of their very own. Why don't we care about upsetting Hindus, Sikhs and Gurkhas by leaving them out of such a project? That's easy. Hindus and Sikhs are not going to start charging around the streets in the way that many Muslims have been every Saturday since the autumn and making people feel uneasy. Because they're not likely to be menacing, we can ignore their hurt feelings. Disgusting, isn't it? All this, of course, sows yet more divisions and sectarian ill feeling, but it might, or so the hope is, be worth a few Muslim votes. This could have been a chance for a memorial to all the soldiers of the Indian Army, of whatever creed or religion. Instead, it's just another example of cozying up to Muslims because some of them are apt to behave in scary ways and this might placate them. If I was a Hindu or Sikh, I would be really pissed off about this.